Bruce. This is my channel. Okay. And thank you for watching. If you could please subscribe, that'd be great. If you don't, thanks for watching anyway. What the heck? But this is my car show edition. Okay. I attended the Canadian International Car Show, and I was a little tiny bit on the spur of a moment, and I decided to do it. Because, well, I like cars. I've been there before. It might not sound sexy, but I'm really looking forward to finding the Hyundai booth. How enormous is it? Well, it's enormous enough that there's like a shuttle that takes you from one part of it to the other. Thank you very much, the organizers, for that. And really, it's huge. And I visited because I'm a guy. I like cars. But I admit it. And I like tinkery things. And also, this idea of the automotive industry, the transportation industry, and the car industry plays such a massive role in our lives.
This is the car that Matthew McConaughey sits in and contemplates life.
And trucks. The manufacture of cars and trucks is a really big component of the economy and the parts, and hitherto the extraction of fossil fuels has really been that's a big part of the economy, and it's also it's the driver of climate change. When you see things like in Eastern Canada, they had a snowfall. The previous record snowfall had been like 75 centimeters. 75 centimeters is like 30 inches. And the record snowfall they just had was 150 centimeters. 150 centimeters is like 60 inches of snow. 60 inches of snow in one swoop. That's unimaginable. And that is a manifestation of climate change. Full stop. Okay. Anyway, but let's talk about this car show. So I saw a bunch of stuff at the car show that was heartening. It made me feel good. One was the tremendous increase in the preponderance of electric vehicles. Almost every manufacturer was touting their electric vehicles, and some of them were really great. We had BYD,
advanced places in Canada like Quebec.
These electric vehicles, they are really not retrofits.
They had the nice one for me was this thing called Project Alpha, where a consortium of about 60 companies and some designers in Canada created a kind of a concept car that you cannot buy. But when I saw this thing, I thought that was the nicest car in this show.
It's one of the nicer cars I've seen.
If you disregard the fact that it's a concept car, you disregard the fact that you can't buy it, and you disregard a whole bunch of facts, it was absolutely gorgeous. And because it was a marriage of utility, function, transport, and kind of practicality, and a straightforward design aesthetic that I enjoy and admire, and it was kind of like this unadorned affair. And I spoke with the guy who was at the booth, and maybe he's his component was making the steering wheel that had some biometric sensors that would track your some of your indicators, and so that the car would react properly if you were having a medical emergency or something like that. That was that car. Another car, and I'll cut to the chase here. The car of show, the winner, the best car that I've seen in the last number of years, in consideration of everything. Here's the factors: price, affordability, just general build quality. Is this thing well built, and will it last a long time? Another one is economy, sort of separate from price. Does it represent a great value? Is it beautiful? And that car is the Kia EV9. Holy smoke! I mean, it was the price. The MSRP was $62,000 Canadian dollars, and you can compare that with the MSRP of a comparable shape of car. Might be like a Honda Pilot.
This might seem like a small deal, except this is the Kia EV9, and the retail price is actually less, I think, than the Honda Pilot. And it has all these fabulous features, and it's electric, and it's amazing, and it's going to probably last forever. And if I did not already own an electric car, I tell you, I think this would be the one I'd buy.
Commercial for the Super Bowl of this car, and the commercial's beautiful. really, and it shows some of the utility of the car, being that it drives really, really well in adverse conditions, and the car has a thing called V2L. So you can take the electricity from the car and use it for other things. If you happen to be camping, the car will power your campsite. If you happen to think, oh, I want to cook dinner some remote location using my Instapot or my slow cooker or my blender or my coffee maker or my microwave oven, or watch television, the car will power that nicely. So it's really great. And then, if you've been following the videos, you know that one of my vehicles had been a Honda Pilot, and so I kind of had that for a really long time. Not that long, it was fairly new. It was a 2017 Honda Pilot. I had it for 6 years. 6 years, does that make sense? 6 years? Anyway, Honda Pilot, I owned a Honda Pilot, drove it quite a bit. I bought the biggest warranty that you could buy with it, and still with that I spent what I consider a tremendous amount of money on maintaining and repairing that vehicle. It was very expensive to own. I understand that Honda owners are going to say, "Oh, that's craziness," but no, this is real. I had the car serviced at the dealer all the time, and I had problems with it, but there you go. And so I don't have a Honda Pilot anymore. Now I have a Hyundai Ioniq 5, which is on the Hyundai Kia Genesis platform, the same kind of electric sophistication and wizardry that goes into all those cars, and the Kia EV9 is among them. And the Kia EV9, wow, it impressed me in every way. Every possible way I was impressed. And you know what? It impressed a whole lot of other people. People are standing around gaping at this thing. Is wonderful. Okay, so that's the car of the show. The positive of the show is the general shift to electrification. There was a couple of negatives, like a couple of the car makers were Toyota was there, and they were their presentations, like their marketing, their discussion, and their presentations was centered around electric. They talked electric, but they don't have electric. They have one, but it's not really that great a car, and it has by electric metrics, it's not that great. It doesn't go very far. It doesn't have good fast charging speed. It charges very, very slowly, and but it exists. So the fact that the Toyota has a car that exists, good. But the Toyota presenter kept talking about how hybrids were the way, because you never had to charge the battery. The reason why you don't have to charge the battery is because you have to put gas in it. And you have to maintain that gas engine, and the idea of using any hydrocarbon for transportation is, especially in this era, I'm going with a no on that. Okay, and that's no surprise. I mean, if you watch my videos, you'll know that. And I'm not against cars. Okay, I am in favor of modernity. I'm in favor of utility. I'm in favor of the function of the transportation, and we have to really move forward. Really, we have to move forward. And electric cars, the best way to one electric car experience that I had was that, and I didn't know this was going to happen, was we have an electric car, and I drove my electric car for like 2 months. I was my daily driver car for 2 months. And then, for some reason, I drove a gasoline car. And it was like a fancy one. It was a fancy Mercedes. And I'm driving this thing, and I'm like, it just seems broken. Like it doesn't work. It's wrong. And it's like, wow, the electric, a modest electric car is dramatically better than a prestige non-electric car. It's wild. Okay, so there's that. Now, some more negatives is that North Americans are funny, and there's a lot of people in North America that like enormous pickup trucks. So this auto show had no shortage of new and more enormous pickup trucks. They were wild. These big gas guzzling, dinosaur chomping, diesel powered, whatever affairs. They're there. The good thing is that the world is moving away from this. like the same company that was showing off their Ram charger was also saying electric, and they're bragging about their electric everything. That was good. The Ford Lightning was there. That's good. The Ford Mach-E was there. That's good. There's a bunch of electric stuff. Porsche had a bunch of electric cars, and they were fabulous. And they also had some of their non-electric cars, but which is okay. But I mean, another metric of electric cars, if you're into cars, if you're into thrills, just here know this. Porsche showed up at the Nürburgring with their electric car about 6 years ago and took a minute or a minute and a half off a track record that had stood for 25 or 30 years. That's it. I don't know how this is working with the trains. Really. I'm not sure if the audio is good enough that I can kind of tune out the trains. Like I said, I'm not that good at making these videos, but what the heck, I'm not bad. Oh, another thing about the car show is if you've heard me in the past talk about IV charging, IV is like the Ontario version of Flow. The sheer noise of these trains is enough to tell anyone that electric is the way to go. These are diesel electric locomotives, so all the train engines have actually 3 diesel motors inside the engine. I can explain it in great detail. And then there's actually 3 electric motors. There's like a small one that's about 20 horsepower. That small motor is used to start a medium-sized motor. The medium-sized motor is used as the starter for a really big motor. And the really big motor is what generates the electricity that goes to the drive motors, the axles on the locomotive that you think, and that's what makes the train go. And then this thing about regenerative braking, like at the Toyota booth, they were explaining about regenerative braking, but I'll tell you about braking a large train. A train on its way down the hill, the electric motors that are in the axles become generators. And those generators convert the gravitational energy of slowing the train down into electrical energy. And then if you look at the roof of a train, you see a bunch of round things that look like chimneys, but they're not. And there's a line of them. I think there's about 8 or 10 of these things. And inside those are fans. These fans suck air. And what's happening is there's the top of a train it looks like a toaster. You see your electric toaster, there's toaster elements. So the gravity energy is being converted to heat and through these toaster elements, and then these fans are blowing the heat away, and that's what slows the train down on long descents, or really any time that the train is slowing down. And if you're a train person, leave a comment. Just tell me how wrong I am. But my name's Bruce, this is my channel, please subscribe. Okay, another thing, charging. I had intent, I purposefully sought out the IV charging booth to introduce myself, because I use, or have in the past used, the IV charging network, which is Ontario's version of Flow, or Circuit Electric in Quebec is Ontario's version of Circuit Electric. So if you're in the United States, when people talk about charging, they think Electrify America, but really there's many more electrical DC fast charging suppliers than just Electrify America. And you should really, if you're only using Electrify America, you should try some of these other vendors, EVgo, and there's a whole bunch of them. But I talk about Couche-Tard, but so IV. Now, IV has been a bit of a source of frustration for me, because when you go and you're on a road trip and you've driven 250 miles and you stop and it's like, I'm going to use the washroom, grab a beverage, and charge the car and continue on. The important thing is that this thing just works, right, seamlessly. Now, Teslas mostly work. Everyone's very, very positive on Tesla, and I am too. So Tesla has a very reliable charging network. The very most reliable charging network is to my mind, I say this all the time, is the Flow network, Circuit Electric in the province of Quebec. There's spectacularly reliable. Like I think you could shoot at them or beat on them with a hammer or a sledgehammer or an axe, and they'll still work. And people do this, vandals. But anyway, IV charging network has been unreliable, unpredictable, and disappointing. And I went there to their IV charging network booth at the show, and I had a conversation with the person that was there. And the person I was speaking with is not like the president of IV. She's just like a person. It's her job. And I just I introduced myself, and she kind of knew who I was, because I do offer some public criticism of IV, because I just want it to work. That's it. Period. I want the charging that exists in the province of Ontario to have a similar reliability to the charging that exists in the province of Quebec. And I want it to be economical. I want the price to be where you charge your car and your thought is, wow, that's pretty good. I think this represents a good value. And a while ago, IV changed their pricing, and now it costs about, 4 or 5 or so or more times as expensive to charge as it did a year ago, and not counting when they would do it for free. And the reliability is not there at all, full stop. And not only is the reliability not there, but the availability is not there. So I want to see more locations opening very quickly. I want to see IV, not IV, I don't care, but if IV's going to do it, let's do it. And the funding for this enterprise has come from the Canadian federal government. And I want more. Okay? I want more, to the point where more becomes enough. So when we have enough, and what's the definition of enough? Enough is that enough on the reliability side is when you plug your car into charge and it just works as promised every time, whether you're using an RFID card or your phone or your credit card or whatever method of payment you happen to be using, the thing should just function as promised, essentially 100% of the time. And that's what happens with the charging system in another province. And then the Flow is a great company that was started by a gentleman when he was in university, and it's actually the oldest DC charging network in North America. It's about approximately 1 year older than Tesla. Okay, so that's. I went to the IV network. I spoke with the person. They were very kind, a wonderful person, and very attentive. And I just said, please more reliable, please. That was my message, and there you go. And they were, this was a lovely person, and the IV presentation booth was great. Okay, like their marketing is really top notch. Charging not so much. Anyway, so there was that with the car show. So I talked about the cars that I really liked, what I think is the best car, and as many people would agree, the Kia EV9. Talked about that Project Alpha. That was really great. The another one that looked pretty good was the Ram Electric. That looked pretty good. Another one, what looked really, really great was, and I've seen this my neighbor has one, was the Hummer, the electric Hummer. If you're thinking about getting a Hummer, because you're a Hummer person, and there's a kind of an Arnold Schwarzenegger kind of characterization there, but the electric one is fabulous, absolutely fabulous. There you are. Now, what else? I'm trying to think. What else about the car show was great? Well, I found it physically demanding to visit because it's enormous, and it took a lot of walking, and it was if you go, plan on spending a goodly amount of time, because I don't think there's a recipe for going and spending an hour and that's it. But if you like cars, you like to see a lot of cars, I thought it represented value. Like it was like, $20 or something like that. to get in, and yeah, and that was great. Oh, and another thing that I saw was some vendors that were kind of not really vendors. Their plan was to be they call themselves integrators or something. They're intermediaries. So what they're consultants or advisors or whatever. But geez, that's a tough one. I mean, if you're gonna there's got to be money on the ground when the consultants start showing up. Anyway, listen, my name's Bruce. Thank you for watching. This is me, and it's my little speech about the Canadian International Car Show. I hope that you find this video somewhat, I don't know, entertaining. It's entertaining. But anyway, subscribe. Yeah, I like this subscribe. This one. I'm a little outside my element here, but the automotive industry is a big deal, right? It's a big deal in North America, no question about it. And if you go way back, Henry Ford did us all a favor by saying, you know what, we have to pay the employees, so let's pay them, and that was a big deal. Now Henry Ford did some things that were certainly questionable, but and some ideas that were certainly questionable, but let's stick to the positive one, which is people are going to work, let's make sure they get paid. And if someone's going to work manufacturing these cars, the Model Ts, the Model As, and the Model whatever, they ought to be able to buy one. And that's it. Yeah. Oh, and by the way, housing, we need more of that. That's good. Mr. Train. And see the car thing, I don't know if you can see this or not, but the train is going by here, and these are trains loaded with automobiles, and they're cars that are coming from probably the Windsor area or the Alliston area or in this general area that I'm in, and there's a lot of automotive business happens around here. There's automotive assembly plants like Honda, Chrysler, General Motors, Ford. They make cars here. I mean, they assemble them, so their finished product is a car, like you think. But then there's a thing called Tier 1 suppliers. There's suppliers that supply parts directly to automotive assembly plants. And then there's Tier 2 suppliers. There's suppliers that supply parts to the Tier 1 suppliers, because if you look at a car, I mean, the old technology, those gas guzzling or diesel guzzling, whatever, those things, a car engine has thousands, certainly has 1,000 parts. It has a lot of parts, and those parts get assembled into sub-assemblies that are then assembled into assemblies, eventually assembled into an engine that's put into a car, married with a transmission and put into a car. And some companies use a machine, they call it the multi-mount machine. Puts the engine and the car right up from the bottom. I had some experience with those. That's it. And then this train, goodness gracious, they're loud. And you know, these ones are actually small. The trains in the West are bigger. They're bigger. And there's a song called 14 Engines or 13 Engines, because a train in the West, you're going to see it has 7 locomotives, then there's like about 100 cars, then there's 7 more locomotives, then there's another 100 cars, and that's 14 engines. That's where the name of that song comes from. Anyway, my name's Bruce. Yeah, I know I've been going on for a while, and you know what? I'm cool with it. So, sun's shining, it's a nice day, train's loud, it's part of the deal, right? Okay, bye. I'm done. Hey, please subscribe. I like it when people subscribe. And to my existing subscribers, thank you for subscribing. And to the whole world, thank you, except for a couple of people. Yeah, there's a couple of bad actors out there, and that's not good. Wow, that's really loud. I'm not sure how this is going to work out with that train being so loud, but I'm curious to find out. Bye.